Hey, Chris! Where the heck are we? Hey, all! Hi there! How you? Oh boy, it has been a while. Yeah, so I've been gone, but like, now I'm back! With this banger of a video! Said video being, why I'm actually the Night Theory? No, I jest, I joke. I proclaim a humorous intent. But I wanted to turn my room into a dark world because I saw a couple of people doing this on twitter.com and thought, hey, why not make a video out of this? So here we are. So what do? Do I just like stab the ground, right? Determination and all? Right then. Let's go! Where is the dark world? Right, I haven't made it. Let's get to that. Real quick, before I get started, Kinmod? Kinmod. I'm really sorry. Kinmod actually made a video with a similar concept while I was scripting this, so I'm not, like, copying the video, but, you know, it did beat me to the punch whilst this was in production, so go check that out, link in the description, help out the very successful Deltarune YouTuber. Anyway, now, I didn't just want to turn these items in my room into darkness, no, I wanted to make a story. However, any which way I placed it, I found that I didn't really like the idea of the dark world being something the fun gang could hypothetically run into. I mean, it was just my room, it's not like I live in hometown, and oh my god, I want to live in hometown, oh my god. Sorry. So instead I opted to make this more of a spin-off kind of perspective to the whole thing. So in this dark world, the fun gang wouldn't be our protagonists. Instead, we'd have our other protagonists. So let's jump in and meet them. Farah, a delivery driver, is going on their last delivery of the night. Tired and ready for their shift to end, they approach their final house. They recognize it as their friend that they've long since grown distant from, to the point that they're not even sure they still live there. Farah tightened their grip on the pizza bag's handle, an upcoming awkward interaction likely was sure to come. Knocking on the door, they received no answer. They knocked again. The door let out a grotesque hiss. Slightly, it had jarred itself open. The air pulled from the space around Farah, seemingly drinking itself inside the crevice. Farah furrowed their brow, peering down, examining the door. A black soot smoked from the gap. Shocked, Farah pushed the door open, not to be met with the burning blaze that they assumed would cause such smoke, but instead, darkness. Standing in the doorway, the wind vacuuming their clothes, grabbing at them, the darkness extended an offer. Farah turned back to their car. The noise of a late night became obsolete when straddling the house's entrance. The sound, the smells, the light itself emulsified within the darkness. Nothingness yelled with no intention of making itself heard. It already had Farah's attention. Last delivery. One more pizza. Gotta keep up the Icy's motto, Farah thought. And then, Farah jumped. Bending, whirling, swirling spirals, one after another, and then again after three more, and the once dusk world dimmed to the darkest shades of dark. Blinded and somehow aware that if there was anything to see with, you'd remain with the exact same vision. You seemed to want to fulfill that duty. Farah fell, the air striking upwards at their face. Red eyes met red soul, and Farah extended a shaky hand. On instinct, the two of you collide. The bloom from your emanating radiance sunk into Farah's chest. They drew their legs to their ribs, arms to their knees, hugging the metaphysical object, holding carefully the pizza bag, shielding you. Care and concern were exchanged between one and another. Slowly the air reduced its attack, and Farah, cradling you, slowed too. The darkness decidingly snuck itself away, and a floor emerged beneath Farah's descent. You no longer felt the pull of the ground. Instead, a connectivity set within something. You became connected, and Farah became you. Okay, so you, in brackets, the soul, inhabit the character of Farah. Insert Farah description. Farah is a pizza delivery driver. Similarly to Chris, the player's soul inhabits them. However, where they differ in that situation is that the soul never can act on anything. Farah is pretty much in complete control until the later ends of the game. You can obviously do certain things, like, you know how Pokemon has all of those options that don't mean anything, like saying, oh yeah, I'd love to do that, versus, oh yeah, we'll get on with it. You know, there's slight things, but anyway, why does that happen? Well, reasoning being that the motivation Farah has to complete this delivery dwindles and could be, you know, a reference to being like overworked or overwhelmed with the situation, so that they slowly lose their actual like footing in said situation. Having the soul be something akin to a frustrated mood. I'm not sure what I wrote there. What did I write? I'm sure you guys can understand where I'm coming from. Something. I'm not sure. I don't even know what I'm writing anymore. And in terms of design, yes, I did intend for Farah to look like Kara if they were wearing Frisk's clothes and were a delivery driver. Farah is our protagonist, and they're quite motivated to get to the end of this strange and crazy world they've landed in. Strange and crazy? I was crazy once. No, I'm not starting that. Strange and crazy. Is that really what we're going? Okay, honestly, it's not that crazy or strange. More depressing. When originally I started this project, I wasn't in a great headspace, and my obsession with Deltarune really helped me navigate my ways through feeling, better. So I captured those feelings and put them into a dark world. The rock tumbler is turning. Anyway. Now, no good story is complete without themes. So, what themes would Farah come across in this world? What encapsulates their story? Well, Toby Fox's Deltarune, I think we can all agree, has something to do with escapism, with freedom being a large secondary theme. With that being said, what themes would persist in my Dark World story? Some small themes I wanted to include were isolation and depression and like duty. Nah, you said duty. Well, kinda. It's hard to explain. What I want the theme of duty to be able to be is, I was thinking more duty to one's job, to assimilate it, duty to abandon all that makes you and serve a higher purpose. Maybe not duty then, maybe assimilation, devotion, something like that. Yeah, let's roll with that. With the opposing theme being like a kind of rugged individualism, and not the American historical way. Did you notice that I took higher history classes in high school? Anyway, in the way of providing for yourself, doing your own work, being dedicated to your passions and such, and this is like, I don't know, man. I wanted to make like a assimilation / devotion theme versus a individualism / passion theme. I don't know. I'm not turning this into a video game anytime soon. The themes are more of an outline for how I construct a story. But yeah, let's roll with that. And brackets, that was a reference for one individual in the audience. Closed brackets. But, theme influences the characters, you know, and, who might the characters be? Let's get to that. I already went over Farah, but I would like to add some more stuff, like the fact that they're also non-binary, because I just think, you know, it would be cool to keep the theme, the trend of, Deltarune protagonists. I think that they are not content with their life and feel like they're wasting it. There's, like, this element of needing to perform the best that they can and achieve something in a situation where they don't feel like they've achieved anything. So there's some little tidbits behind there. I wonder who I'm projecting onto. Anyway, let's move on. Logie.b is inspired by my iPad, yeah. So, who is she? A fisherman who occasionally takes on an odd job from her higher-up cousin. She's relatively quiet, only keeping the company of her youngest sibling. When she was younger, Logie was quite the child prodigy, in all things painting and arts. One day, she just stopped. No one pressed her for the reason, besides the polite formalities, posing questions like, "Why would you do that?" Statements saying, "Oh, you were so good." No one wanted a reply, nor an answer. She knew that. Art never brought money. Fishing, I guess, did. Otter B, my iPhone. Otter is probably the only one in the city to retain a sense of enthusiasm. Sporting some bright pants to match their shining personality, they rely on their older sibling for pretty much everything, following her around like they're still a little kid. Otter enjoys fishing quite a bit more than Logie, but loves when they get the strange little side quest from their cousin. Spices the variety of life, they'll quote, incorrectly. Little slip-ups like that have endeared themselves to the unassimilated community of isolates around them. Library Dog Booker, my plush dog that I've had since I was a young boy. Library Dog Booker knows quite a lot. People think just because they whisper, that means that others won't hear you. But for a dog, hearing is a skill, especially if you work in a library. Wilma, the hot water bottle. If you're ever in need of some warmth on your day, come visit Wilma. She'll whip you up a nice cup of boiling hot tea and console you about your life. Owl. The wooden owl standee in my room. The world always seems so big when you're just so small. Owl wants to see everything and ask about everyone. When new people come around, he must know exactly who they are and what their stories they might have. Olma, the other wooden owl standee. Olma tries her best despite the feeling of isolation being in this big city can bring. She always takes a step back to focus on smaller things, like her son for instance. Lars the lamp. Lars wants to expose the truth of things, priding himself on being a pillar of his community, even if others don't see it that way. He shines the light of truth and virtue onto his fellow citizens, excusing himself conveniently. T-Towel. T-F-I. Defy. No, this is a T-Towel. Bro's just a little fella. Bro is just a little fella. Polg, the dog item holder I have. Fishing has always been in Polg's veins since he was a young pug. It's like he has a psychic sense for when the fishes will be at any given time. The only fish he has yet to catch is his co-sailor, Labby. Labby, the other dog item holder I have. Labby always gravitated towards the waters more than what you could find in them, finding her passion for sailing with the added bonus that fishing was her job. They're completely oblivious to Polg's feelings, but if something were to tug the line. Cecil, the bird salt shaker I have. They're probably a good kid underneath all of those slight misdemeanors. Piper, the other bird salt shaker I have. They're a good kid despite all of the slight misdemeanors. Plun, the other plush animal I have in my collection. Coming from a farming background, making a life for yourself in the city has always been quite tough for Plum. He didn't really have a plan when he came here, but he's making it work, even setting up a small community garden, which no one visits. Rogue, my other salt shaker. I have a lot of salt shakers, guys, I like collecting. Rogue prides herself on the ability to notice beauty in the mundane. Living here has made her very observant. Even if the slightest things change, she notices. She loves to find old clothes and fix them into something cool that she could theoretically wear to a concert, if a concert were to ever show up. Hennel, my other chicken salt shaker. Just like his sister, Hennel enjoys finding old clothes. He doesn't repair them like Rogue does, but he sure does love a good old man trench coat, to which he finds that he owns more of than his shirts. Dulce, my other salt shaker. Summarizing Dulce can be said into simple terms. He's an Eshe, and that's about it. Trinity, my other fish salt shaker. Somebody arrest me, I own too many salt shakers. Trinity likes to follow his brother around a lot. Despite the fact that they both seem to be quite enamored with the Eshe lifestyle, Trinity has always felt a bit uncomfortable performing such a persona. RGB, my PC. Did I make this okay, before we get into things, did I make him because I love Tenor? No, I did not make him because I wanted to replace or rip off Tenor or anything. No, I made him because he's my PC, he's annoying, I hate my PC so much, but don't tell the PC that I'm making this video on that. Anyway, this PC likes to break down a lot, so I was a bit upset at him, so I made him into a character, and I made him the villain. Yeah! Anyway, let's get into who he is. RG.B, despite being gifted an extraordinary amount of power by his late father, has yet to turn anything fruitful out of the whole arrangement, instead seemingly running the once prosperous city into the ground, completely eradicating any public services and support and overall making a massive mockery out of his once prestigious family. He is not a kind individual and is always almost entirely self-serving. Almost. Even with his large ego, he makes time to care for the comatose human who resides within his walls. who once helped his father in making this urban sprawl a home. Now, they lay still. No comforting advice or charitable aid, they just lay there, unmoving. RG feels a level of guilt, a very confusing level, stuck between feeling he's the cause of everything wrong and everything right. He's made himself a recluse to escape from public scrutiny, instead sending his cousins to do any of his jobs dressing him, while he lies in his lavish dressing gown. Yet, despite the large majority of success that his lackeys have achieved, they have yet to evict the creature in the rundown theater. Okay, so, the next guy, I just wanted to emphasize, I have a physical puppet of this dude. I think there's a video up on this channel about this dude. I really care about this guy. Anyway, I wanted him to be the secret boss for this hypothetical thing, who encapsulates the secondary theme of passion and individualism and being dedicated to oneself instead of being dedicated to a higher up authority. Everyone is to RGB. Anyway, let's get into it. Sergeant Jimbo. He grew up an acting sensation, being able to make his audience laugh, cry, and even give him most of their money. The last one really helped the theater whenever shows came short. He grew up in the theater, spending most of his time there instead of, well, anywhere else. He loves the feeling of attention, he loves the community it brings, and he loves to know that he can influence anyone's emotions just by changing a line delivery. However, once RGB took over, money became tight. For everyone, not just the theater, so little by little, people stopped showing up to shows, others wanted refunds, and troops that backed the hobby had now disbanded. Before long, no one showed up. Jimbo did what he did best and acted his way through the turmoil. But it didn't end, and method acting can get really emotionally tolling on people after a while. Jimbo found himself washed out, hanging around the old theater like a phantom, with what remains of the other actors. If anything remains certain in this world of uncertainties, it's that Jimbo will never let the curtains close. Flop! The ragdoll puppet. I have a puppet who's kind of like a ragdoll. He's a personal puppet. I used to upload him on this channel, but then I removed all of the videos. He's a gnome. But the Flop is kind of based off him, but Flop is her own character. I don't know. She doesn't look like a gnome, she's just a ragdoll puppet. Anyway, one of the few actors that remain by Jimbo's side, basically. And Sack the sock puppet, because I loved sock puppets as a kid. I loved making them. They are the all-in-one backstage managers. Sometimes they even help running lines with Jimbo and Flop. Basically, Flop and Sack will be, attack patterns, essentially. Like, little enemies Jimbo can throw out during boss fights and whatnot. That's all well and good, but what about the plot? Well, as far as Section touched on, Farah jumped into the Dark World inside of their ex-friend's house, where they combined with the soul and now must traverse the Dark World, both to return the pizza and to return themselves. How poetic! Anyway, here is the plot. Farah must deliver the pizza to the ruler of the Dark World, their old friend. They must make their way through this depressing city full of darkness just trying to get by. Through this quest, they are haunted by Logie and Otto, who have been enlisted to capture Farah and the pizza, in order to give them over to their boss and cousin RGB, who is currently the deputy mayor of Beddington. Beddington is the name of the place, because there's a bed in my room. I'm so funny. Farah makes their way through the fields, with the only interactions they experience at first being a couple of small birds. They ask about the recipient of the pizza, to which they are informed that the mayor is the orderer. However, they're quite sick, and Farah will have to make their way to them in order to hand over the food. Arriving in the outer skirts of the city, Farah meets with other residents who fill them in on the current ongoings in the city, as well as the shambles it's found itself becoming. Farah helps restore a library filled with art books, organizes a clothing store, and aids some fishermen in getting the biggest catch they've gotten in years. Only after all of this aid that they do, they come across two rather stubborn darkmen, telling them that they're here to take them to their boss. Logie and Otto proceed to initiate a fight with Farah, who, after defeating them, is informed that we will be back. Farah continues into the city. RG believes that Farah is here to hurt the current mayor of Beddington, the human whose Dark World this is, who is currently in a comatose state. RG was tasked with protecting them and their city, but has been doing an awful job so far, since the economy is in shambles and RG is living in the shadow of his predecessor and father, Asa. Farah makes their way through the seemingly underground world, making the lives of those who live there just a little bit better, whilst avoiding Logie and Otter in the process. Eventually, they get to Argy, who's currently living in the house that has the comatose human inside of it. As we all know, because I kept on repeating it like 3 times. Anyway, Argy refuses to let Farah through to see the other human, still under the impression that they seek to harm the male. However, Farah showing that they had spared all of the darkness, if the player chooses that route, wins some semblance of favor in Argy's eyes. He proposes to Farah that if they can do one more favor for the people of this city, then he'll let them see the human. Farah is reluctant to aid the PC, as from what they've heard, all of the residents kind of know that he's anything other than altruistic. Farah accepts begrudgingly and is instructed to evict the current inhabitants of the theater, one Sergeant Jimbo. Okay, so he's not really a secret boss, he's kind of involved in the main story, but in the way that Spampton's kind of involved in the main story. If you went along this kind of path and didn't really help any of the residents out and attack them all, then you could probably just attack RGB and return the pizza without going through the Jimbo secret boss thingy, but we're going along the secret boss path. Farah explores the large halls, posters of past stage plays plastered on every corridor. It's clear that the theater was a large part of this community. Farah even comes across a poster with a show clearly displaying a young RGB and a small puppet. When they arrive at the stage, a strange voice calls to them, followed by a small puppet appearing from the dark. Initially, he is happy to find a new face at this theater, introducing himself as Sergeant Jimbo. He's instantly threatened when Farah explains that they're here to evict them. The two begin to fight, and at the end, you can either evict him and he'll never appear in the story again, or you can offer to take him to RG to resolve the matter and hopefully find another solution. The two of you return to RG and find him crying next to the unconscious human. Farah consoles him on the way the world is, how things have been, and how when working together with other darkness like Jimbo, things can get better. You can reinstate elements of community and get others to help you. You don't need to put all the responsibility on yourself. Farah hands the pizza over to the other human, but they do not wake up. Farah expected to see them wake, to show them the exit and let them leave, yet they stay there. Farah brings this up, asking if there is a way home. RG explained he's always known of a door at the end of the city. No one has ever been inside them, since apparently they're little more than decoration and there's actually no way of opening them. RG leads them to the door though, and the doors that once stayed stagnant slowly open for Farah and they walk inside. You, the player, are face to face with the world's dark fountain. You can return to the light world with or without sealing it. Farah will not seal the fountain, however. They are pushed from the house's door and it slams behind them. They take a few seconds to orient themselves before approaching the door again, hesitantly standing before it. Then, turning away, walking back to their car, only for a slight creak to come from the house with a voice calling them from the door. Hey there, Farah. Okay, so that's the plot. I don't know, it's very rough around the edges. It's just kind of like, you know, yeah, it's rough. It's a rough idea, anyway. Okay, so anyway, I don't know how to code a game or anything like that when it comes to adapting these concepts fruitfully. However, I wanted to learn. Not coding, that is. That's crazy! But something. I wanted to learn something. I wanted to do something. So I settled on trying to make some music for these fellas. And now, I'm not musically gifted at all. Like, the last music test I took in high school, I got like a 20%. So I'm not fantastic at it, but I wanted to make sure that these little critters had some themes. Leitmotifs, I don't know what they're called. So I loaded up Beatbox, this 8-bit music studio in the browser, and messed around for a while. And these are some of the themes I came up with. Not for all the characters, only for some. Now, they're not amazing, but I'm happy-ish with them. I even tried making a boss theme for the secret boss Jimbo. However, that did not work as well as I hoped, and I just kind of copied the Phantom of the Opera, sped it up a bit, made it sound like this, and yeah, I didn't do anything original. I just copied Phantom of the Opera, but I did it without AI, guys, so it's fine. But yeah, I don't know, someone better talented and better equipped for this. I wish I knew someone like that, because that would be cool to make an actual boss theme for Jimbo, but like, he doesn't have one. He's just kind of got Phantom of the Opera. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for coming. Overall, pretty happy with this whole thing. Oh, wait. No.
Hey, Obelisk, you all good there, bud?
I just, no, you can't be. I made you before this whole thing started.
Let me see that. Dude.
It's not what it looks like.
Right. Well, I'm not a ripoff. That's what you're wondering. I just share similar traits.
Yeah, gosh, what was I thinking?
Plus, even if I was, I could, like, ride off the coattails of that success, right? Any publicity's good publicity, yeah?
Of course. Oh, no.
Oh, no?
No. What's going on here? Come on.
I think he's having a crash out.
I made a personality swap spam 10-up.